Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Nosa Capital. Coming to you another cool morning from the Southern Hemisphere. Ladies and gentlemen, very interesting times over this weekend. We all saw what happened on the markets. Markets, through the geopolitical situation, are still falling. And as I've said, it's all sentimental, ladies and gentlemen. We all know it's sentimental. The fundamentals of many companies okay. The fundamentals of the markets generally okay. But the geoeconomic and geopolitical situation are not making things, any better for anyone. Anyway, you didn't come here for us to muse over the geopolitical situations. Let's have a look at the charts. And as always, we start with Bitcoin. Now, you may recall that I mentioned that Bitcoin breaking through 106,000 is before we can really begin to see anything. And as we can see here, and this is the daily chart, we see that a new area of demand has opened up, which is between 100 and 105. Still roughly in the area, because the last time it was between 103 and 106, I think it was, and it was an area of supply, but this is an area of demand. And as can be seen on the daily chart here, only that's two areas of demand here overlapping. So that's 3, 4, 5 areas of demand. So it's just buying, and buying here. The yellow line that you see here is the anchored VWAP, giving a sort of fair value of about 87,439. Now, I can't see worst case scenario, barring someone putting some massive amount of money on some form of liquidation area, where there's been massive leverage with a massive amount of upfront money. So, for instance, if somebody put like 100 million at about 40 times leverage, let's say that 87,000 something, then you know very well that market makers are going to attack that position. Looking at the chart very quickly here, just at this part here, you can see it's a series of lower highs and lower lows. I suspect that it will break through this line. This is the sort of marginal line, so to speak, the line, which is about 106,528. It's hit that area and come back. See, broke through that area, come back. Broke through that area here, come back. Eventually to break through this area and hit this spot here, which is at about 109. I suspect that we can see 110 maybe before the weekend. But let's not overplay our hand here, because who knows what kind of sentiment we're going to wake up with in the market tomorrow. Reports are coming back that people are, the large purchases taking place, but the price is not necessarily moving accordingly. So one is wondering how they are hiding. I suppose there are ways of hiding what they're buying. They're probably buying it at 100 and something thousand, but they know that if they are buying, if the institutions, I'm talking about the institutions now, the ETFs and all those guys, and the macro sailors of this world, I think that they know that if people know how they're buying and at what price, the price is bound to move. There's no question about that. And that's what's going to happen. But I suspect that we are going to we're going to head up to about 110 over this weekend. Time will tell. Fingers crossed nothing dramatic is going to happen on the geoeconomic and geopolitical situation. And if it does, should it happen, I pray God that it's something that helps the price of Bitcoin, so that they can put more smiles on your faces. But let's move to the next one. There's no need for us to put, there's no need for us to put the Ichimoku. We can pretty much see, like that you can just literally see it. So no need for that. So let's go to Binance. And as you can see, Binance has just been sideways. This has been since last year, just trade. This is a sideways trade. No question about that. Two areas of supply of demand here. One area of supply at the top here. Volume profile fairly even. Nothing too alarming. Current price is at about 646, if I'm right. Yes, 646, 647 now. Like I said, we go through this all the time. Just have a look at it. Nothing dramatic. I suspect that we will see an increase in price. And if you can get to this area here, which is between, let's see, 705 and 745, if it breaks through there, I think we're going to be hitting 800 quite easily. It should, even though this area is we've got a thick area of supply, the volume here, as you can see, the volume here, look at the volume. It's kind of reduced, which means that, as I've always told you, price goes up very quickly through those areas of low volume on the volume profile. So let's hope that happens. Okay, let's not dwell too much on that. Let's move over to Ethereum. Right. So we've got 1, 2, 3 areas of supply, and there's one very faint looking right somewhere there. If you look at it, it's very faint. 1, 2 areas of demand. Well, Ethereum hasn't been looking too good recently. As you can see, it's a whole series of lower highs and lower lows since December of last year. And only now we just got some semblance of life in this particular cryptocurrency. Now, apart from some of the upgrades and some of the recent announcements from Vitalik and the Ethereum community in general, I suspect that what would happen would be that the price of would suddenly just go up. I mean, we all remember what happened with XRP and all that kind of stuff. And so it could happen with Ethereum as well. Because you could say it's already due. Why? Because the Ethereum narrative hasn't exactly been encouraging, to say the least. But let's see how it goes. I mean, look, let's put the Ichimoku on this one just to see. Let's go with the Ichimoku on this, and as you can see, look at that. You can see the cloud at an incline. Our Chiku span has broken through, running free. Price action above the cloud. Both Tenkan-sen and Kijun-sen also above the cloud, all running free. We can see a little bit of. You can see that if you look at the Kijun-sen is sort of trading, is looking sideways. That's because of this. The price action is also trading sideways. And you could say that because if you look at the Tenkan-sen is caught up between the price action. This normally happens when this happens with these mini indicators within the whole overall indicator itself. And as you can see here, the other cloud, the positive cloud, is already at an incline to the upside. It's broken through this area of volume profile. This area is relatively small, and I don't be surprised. Don't be surprised to see that we might hit we could hit over $3,000 if all things being equal, and if some more good news comes out on Ethereum. So let's see how that goes. But anyway, that's Ethereum. Solana. Okay, now let's hide some of those bubbles because that's just getting in the way. Now Solana, this is a very strange one. It also, since about January earlier this year, you can see it's just been lower highs and lower lows, and now it's sort of trading up and then again trading sideways. Now, considering the level of developments on this particular cryptocurrency, the price is really baffling. But I would say this to you: hold on to your Solana, because I think one morning we're going to wake up and this thing is just going to blast right through. Look at the volume profile here; it's fairly even. And look at the areas of supply here. These areas are relatively small, and with enough momentum, the price action could easily blast through these. A very good solid base here, down here for an area of demand, and a smaller one up here. That means that you have an area of safe area where you could actually buy should you want to come into the market. Anything at the moment under about $200, I think, is still a good buy. In my opinion, I think that it's something that we should all think about. But as I've always told you, hold on to your Solana. Solana is too powerful and too good a cryptocurrency for you to just say, oh, it's not moving. Be patient. It will have its turn. And I promise you, do not be surprised you see a $350 Solana Do not be surprised at all, because I suspect that this will take off. I mean, all you have to do, look at the number of transactions, look at total value locked, look at how platform after platform is developing on Solana. This can only mean something good. I mean, and now, as if you've not heard, I'm sure you've heard of this. And now we've got a strategic Solana reserves. Bitcoin is going to be at a premium in that department, because only the biggest and most powerful institutions will be able to afford. Will be able to afford it. I'm talking about Bitcoin now. So we have to sort of pay attention that what's the next thing, and the next best thing is Solana. No one is, ladies and gentlemen, no one is talking about a strategic reserve for Ethereum. It's not even being mentioned. We all thought that Ethereum would pick up with its ETF crickets. But the Solana ETF, I promise you, there is promise there. There is excitement there, and it's bubbling, and we're going to see something happen. I'm not saying that it's going to happen when the ETFs are finally approved or when they come out. No, I think it might happen even before that. Way too much is going on this platform for us to ignore. Just to put your mind at ease, let's just throw on the Ichimoku as always. Let's have a quick look at that. Look at that. Already at an incline upwards. Tenkers and Kensington above the cloud. Price action above the cloud. Chiku span above the cloud, running free. That's definitely bullish. No question about it. And this is an opportunity for you to get into this market and take your position, be patient, and wait. Patience is required. Patience is required, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Next, we've got Sui. Sui has been having some very good narrative recently. Fairly even volume profile upset this area here, of which, as you can see, look at the size of the candles, how they just blasted through this area. Okay, 2 areas of demand here and here. So this is your new sort of support, and this area of supply up here has acted almost like resistance, as you can see. And that area here, it's got the yang start coming back. Another area of supply, but I suspect these areas are quite small, and with enough momentum, volume momentum, Sui can easily break through. This is pretty obvious. It's already looking bullish, but let's just, as always, let's just throw on the Ichimoku candle. Ichimoku indicator, and there you have it. That's the cloud. Price action above the cloud. Chiku spans are running free. Tenkers and Kinjin also above the cloud. This is definitely bullish, as I said. There's no question about that. And I think you'll be okay. Anything under $4 at the moment. But if you can wait, if it so happens to come back to this area here, which is between 311 and 342, that'd be quite good to get in. So if you can get anything under $4, good luck to you. I pray you do, because and this is a position I admit it's a position I have, but I've been DCAing into. I've been waiting for all the pullbacks and then buying. That's what I've been doing when it comes to this. Okay, so let's move on to our meme coins. Now, what did I tell you? I've been telling you for weeks to be patient, to be patient, to be patient. Now, if you are a speculator, you could have made a small fortune here, because if you had gone in somewhere down here, I told you, you could easily sell at these areas of supply, and people, obviously, it's acting as an area of resistance, and people have sold, and now the price is recovered somewhat, and currently we're at about 24 cents 66. So we'll see. Volume profile fairly weak at the top. Heavy, it's bottom heavy, as you can see in this area here. But there's not much to stop the price action with any, as you can see in the volume profile, the volume down here. Any decent amount of volume will push this through, and if there's enough volume momentum, it will go through. Again, for those of you who've been holding for a while, patience is required. as I've said it then and I'll say it again. And the funny thing, I have to say this, the funny thing is that some of the biggest proponents of Moodeng were suddenly very quiet. And when they had this price action move here, they started talking about Moodeng again and how they would invest in Moodeng. I mean, nobody can accuse me of not being consistent on this one. And I've told, I keep telling you, be patient, be patient, be patient. Infinite patience is required, particularly for those of you at the top who've come in at these price levels here and have held it all the way down. You recover over time. Make no mistake about that. But it's going to require you being very, very patient in order to get it. Again, I just put the Ichimoku on, as you can see. Definitely bullish, 10% above the Kijun-sen. Price action, those two as well as Chikuspan all above the cloud. Chikuspan running free, definitely bullish, no question about that. No need to elaborate, you know the score. Okay, let's move on to WIF very quickly. WIF is another thing I told you to be patient about. We've had some good price action recently. It went up to about $1.32. It's currently at 95 cents 8 at the moment. Again, you need some patience, and what has happened with Moodeng is going to definitely happen here with WIF. No question about that. If you can still accumulate under about $1, maybe even 90 cents, good for you. But if you are somebody, if you are someone who has accumulated at the bottom part here, as when I mentioned it earlier in the year, then good for you. You've got plenty of areas to sell and make your profits. So we're not going to elaborate more on that. I mean, this is, but okay. Let's just throw on the Ichimoku let's just keep standards. Okay. Definitely, as you can see, definitely bullish. Chikuspan running free. Price action. Tenkan-sen, Kijun-sen, everything above the cloud, definitely bullish. I hope some of you have accumulated at the bottom levels here when I mentioned it. And I hope as I told you, if it goes above, I think it was this area here by 76, I think that's what the area, I can't remember now. You'll have to watch my previous videos that will have all the details there to tell you which price level, but I know it's somewhere around here that I did say would be an indication that you should definitely get into the market. Okay, and finally, we're going to look at Pi Network. Now, I mentioned it was not going to go below 60. It dropped very briefly and came back up, and then we had it rise to about $1.66. It's currently at 73 cents 65. I think we're going to get that sideways movement, but we're not going to see anything major until it goes above about $1, about this area here, which is about $1.79, 77. I think so, $1.80 or so. When it goes above that, I think it's pretty much going to be free. Look at your volume profile, fairly low here, and then this is the activity. Activity is going down. That's why it's a bit lopsided to the downside here. But I believe that once it breaks this area here, the 180, it could go back to its all-time high. Again, if you're a holder of this, infinite patience is required, as always. But this is a game of patience and discipline. Don't get caught up in all this nonsense about, it's got to do this and the price has got to do. Just be patient. It will come and you will enjoy. But I will say this to you. Always make sure you know where you want to exit if you are speculating. Now, if you have coins like this or WIF or Moodeng, those are strictly speculative coins. Why? They lack utility. Now, at least Pi has some utility, but Moodeng, WIF, those guys, those coins, ladies and gentlemen, lack utility. They are there for fun, and they are there for you to be able to just play around with. Don't put too much money there. You heard about some spectacular profits. Ladies and gentlemen, the people making those spectacular profits tend to be the insiders, not you, who is an outsider coming in. Now, some outsiders are lucky enough, but most are not. I mean, we've heard about this whole Trump coin business. And from what we heard, it was about 50 something people. I can't remember, about 56, 57, 59. I can't quite remember. People that benefited and the rest of the other people did not. And those 50 something people were definitely insiders. People who had the inside information, the inside scoop. So those are the people that are making the money, not you. So be very, very careful. Excuse me. Put your money in quality. Invest in quality, ladies and gentlemen. Invest in quality. No financial advice, of course. I wouldn't presume to tell you what to do with your money. But if you're going to go into this thing long term, I think you should look closely at the quality. Anyway, that's me. So keep your eyes and ears open and your trading sharp. Have a good one.